Hey, just a quick note before we get into the interview. This is actually an interview from Rift Reaction, which is my Spotify original series. It's pretty cool. They've partnered with Emily Rand and I to create a exclusive podcast every week. In fact, we're doing multiple episodes this week in honor of Worlds, and one of those episodes has 3 interviews in it. One with Bwipo, Kaiser, and Hans Sama, so 3 of them. And Spotify was nice enough to let me take the audio from those interviews from the podcast and put them over here on my YouTube channel in part so that you guys can learn a little bit more about the show, and hopefully go follow it on Spotify because it's quite fun and they do wonders with the audio, which you'll hear here. It's quite pleasant to listen to, but that's why it's only going to be audio only from this point on. So again, check out Rift Reaction. I hope you enjoy this special excerpt, these special interviews, whatever. It's full interviews. You get it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Rift Reaction in honor of Worlds. Emily Rand, unfortunately, not with us right now. She's busy planning and prepping for group stage. We're recording this the day before. So what's really cool, though, is that I get to sit down with 3 members of the LEC teams, because so often, obviously, might be familiar, we get to talk to some LCS people. I get to talk to LCS people frequently. So this is awesome that we get to do this right before the start of group stage. From each of the teams, we have Bwipo from Fnatic, we have Kaiser from Mad Lions, and we have Hans Sama from Rogue. So great to be able to talk to them today. And for those of you that maybe didn't notice this yet, we still released another episode this week. In fact, just the day before. So if you're coming here and you're sitting down and you're like, oh, the new episode of Rift Reaction is here, guess what? You get to listen to 2 of them, because Emily and I talked yesterday about all of the stuff that went down in plans, talked a little bit about the controversy around one of the teams, and also group stage, to kind of preview that. So be sure to go back and check that out. And while you're there, we usually do a poll and a Q&A in each of these. We don't have one for this special edition episode, but we do have one in that. So make sure that you open the Rift Reaction app and on your phone and vote in that, because it's very helpful. Regardless, I'm really excited right now to be joined by Bwipo from Fnatic. How's it going, Bwipo? How's Iceland?
I'm doing great. Iceland's been all right. Yeah, it's been a bit of a change, away from home. Missing my girlfriend, but otherwise it's been great. I mean, I've been accommodating the best I can, and it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah, do you enjoy this, like going to an event? Because obviously it's just been tough over the past couple of years, and so I'm sure that it's really nice for you to be able to be traveling, even if there's not an audience.
Yeah, I mean, traveling is a part of the job and it's a part of the experience, right? And I'm very glad with the experience, but again, it's always better when you travel in pairs. Let's put it that way.
That's fair. I think in the past, you have brought your girlfriend with you to events, and I'm sure, I guess it's tough to do it for this. Yeah, well, sorry to hear that. Well, regardless,
it's all good.
We have games that are starting as we record tomorrow, and I want to talk to you a little bit about them. So first off, we have, so here on Rift Reaction, I'm sure you weren't aware of this, but since the start of Summer Split, we have a segment that we have every week called Bwipo Jungle Watch, where we have been tracking how you are doing as a jungler, because I don't always watch the LEC games, but Emily Rand, my co-host, always does. And so we've been getting updates, and there was some skepticism, I think, from a lot of people at the start of the Summer Split about how you would do, and yet you've proven so many people wrong. It's like every week the Jungle Watch update was that you were doing better and better. So
sweet.
What has it been like role swapping? How have you enjoyed that?
Role swapping's been great, honestly. It's been an experience, obviously, with its ups and downs, and honestly, I had some pretty tough moments. So definitely some very low lows in trying to get my teammates to, because obviously like I'm a very opinionated jungler, right? I'm ex-laner, so my know-how and my way to do things is something that I was really trying to find in some of my teammates, and trying to find that in how we would work together. Like the way the communication should work between jungle and lane, for example, is something that I have had a very strong opinion of. And when that didn't come to fruition, I had some pretty frustrating moments, some pretty tough times to try and bridge that. But fortunately, thanks to the help of the coaching staff and the players, I was able to get there. And a huge shout out, of course, to my significant other, Lena, for helping me through the tough times, because honestly, there was times where I almost regretted I regretted role swapping.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Yes, there was moments where I was like, I really just wanted to be a top laner, and through those really low lows, she helped me get through and get me to commit to this, right? Like get me to actually fully commit and make the most out of the opportunity whilst I'm still here. So this is something that a lot of people don't know, and I wanted this opportunity to share that. Yeah,
well, thank you for sharing it. I think it's very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people don't always get the idea or the impression of like how tough it can be to role swap, and so getting to hear that from you, I think, is really great. Well, on the topic of role swapping, though, you're now at Worlds. so
yes.
You went from only several months of playing this to now you have to play this role against some of the best in the world. What has that been like from just a practice perspective?
From a practice perspective, it's been very different. I feel like as top laner, you really want to practice your laning phase mechanics, your champion mechanics. You want to make sure one-on-one you're very much on point, whereas as jungle, it's much more about reading the situations, right? Like, when are you supposed to be greedy? Well, not supposed to be. When are you allowed to be greedy, right? Because when you're greedy and you get punished, it affects all of your team. Situations like this is what you have to practice more, and you learn this more by viewing games and having a third-person perspective rather than getting emotional about it, which is something that's very different from top lane, right? Like, usually your emotional response of this was good or bad, it was rather correct. It was like, okay, this felt bad. But as a jungler, sometimes something can feel very good, right? You're like, oh, I got 2 camps on the top side, and meanwhile your bot lane's getting towered over, and it's like, well, it was actually not a very good play in the grand scheme of things, but it felt right for me. And getting to understand the difference between that and how much influence what I do on the map has on my teammates has made a very interesting new perspective for me.
Has it been intimidating at all, facing off against these legends in the jungle?
I don't get intimidated by gameplay. Let's put it that way. I'm not very scared of playing against anyone. I'm scared that my own gameplay isn't up to par. You know, and scared is not really a...
Gotcha.
Scared is the wrong way to put it. You know, it's just like, it's a competition. You can always have a bad day. You can always play poorly. But trying my best to get the right preparation, to be at the right place at the right time for what my team needs me to do has always been what I've focused on. And thanks to this, I fear no one in the jungle. All the same, whether I was jungler or top laner. So hopefully I can be at the right place at the right time. That said, they do play some damn good League of Legends, so not underestimating them by any means.
Yes. Well, for your group, what do you think? I know you said you're not, you fear no one, yes. But what do you think of the competition in your group?
Yeah, I think it's the spiciest group by far. I feel like all 4 teams, could end up in any position of this group. You know, they could top the group, they could be second, third, or fourth. So it'll really depend on how well the teams play and how well every single variable will matter, is what I mean. And I think that's when League of Legends is at its best. You know, from draft all the way to gameplay to individual decision makings and clutch playmaking. I think all of this will matter in every single game we play, and that's what I love about Worlds. You've got 6 games, and every single factor will carry a significant amount of weight.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of people in particular. I know Emily and myself are really looking forward to the RNG matchup between you and them, because there's an expectation it's going to be really bloody and crazy. I know. What are your expectations for that game? Are everybody overrating it? Is it actually going to be a snooze fest? No kills before 10 minutes?
I think it highly depends on draft, like always, right? Like, I think the thing about Worlds is when you come into week 1, every single team has had the opportunity to boot camp for a month roughly, right? Like 3 to 4 weeks basically, right? And what they're preparing is you don't know, right? Like maybe RNG is preparing a very stale, outscaling composition type of style. Maybe they're preparing, let's, destroy the early game and see what happens. And it's the same for every team that's going the Worlds, right? Like obviously there's a bit of overlap in the teams, but when it comes to groups, I think that almost always week one is when teams just like, they're like, you know what, we don't know what the meta is, so let's just play what we're best at. And assuming RNG is best at killing people in the early game, well, we are too, so I'm assuming there will be a bloodbath, but I don't want to be taken aback when I see late game champions getting locked in and all of a sudden like, oh, we have to play a very strong early game and snowball it. It'll be very interesting to see how they read us, because I think that's what makes Worlds also very interesting, is you have a year worth of VODs to check, see what the tendencies are of the enemy team. And seeing how RNG has prepared for us is always very exciting, of course. Maybe they lock in late game.
No, I mean, I love the way that you put that, because I think for a lot of people outside who are just watching Worlds and enjoying it, you can kind of just like, oh, like this team, these two teams are crazy, and so they're gonna go at each other in a crazy way. But for you as a competitor, you can't. There's no assumptions you can make. So I get it. I have to slide this question in here just for my own sanity and for some of the North Americans that listen to this. But what are your expectations for North America after maybe playing against some of them in scrims and that type of thing?
North America.
How bad is it going to be this year, or how amazing is it going to be?
I don't like setting expectations on any team at Worlds. I think the Worlds environment is very harsh, and you need to be willing to... Like, the thing about Worlds, and this is my perspective on Worlds as a whole, you need to be able to change, like, everything you do from week 1 to week 2. You've got 2 weeks to make a count, and you have a small break. Especially this year, it's a very small break.
1 day.
Which means that you have to get it done. Like you have to be able to just swap your draft, swap your priorities, swap whatever it takes you need to swap, and make it count. And North America in recent history, and well, longer history, hasn't been able to pull that off all too consistently. Week 2 has been the bane of North America, as far as I remember, at least. That's the memory I have. So it's difficult to say whether this year they'll be able to switch it up in week 2 or not, but I'm hoping so. I think every region deserves its fair share of success, and I would hate for North American League of Legends to die out because of World's performances, because there's a lot of good players, European players that moved there, that I want to see succeed as well.
Well, Bwipo, thank you so much. I won't keep you too long because I know that you guys are super busy, but is there anything you want to say to anybody out there?
Just another very large thank you to Lena for supporting me through all of this.
Very good. Well,
it's been a long 3 years, and it's been amazing.
Well, I hope she listens. Feel free to let her know that she can join the ranks of Rift Reaction listeners if she wants to. If she wants to hear these.
I'll let her know.
These wonderful proclamations from you. I think that's very sweet.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bwipo, and we'll see you on the Rift very soon.
See you there.